Hi, this is Pat Fenner here from Breakthrough Homeschooling, and I am so thrilled to be welcoming you to this webinar called Discovering Your Next Season Superpower. It's really good to have you here. In case you don't know me, let me give you a little bit about myself. As I said, my name is Pat Fenner. I've been homeschooling for almost 25 years. We've homeschooled our 5 children. I am currently homeschooling our baby, who is a junior in high school, and nearing the end of my post-homeschooling years as well. Although I had a brief stint with them earlier a few years ago, and that's what prompted this whole course. So it's good to have you here. I'm real encouraged that you are giving some forethought to that time after homeschooling is over, because it will be here before you know it. So today's webinar will help you go from dazed and confused to clear and confident. It'll help you begin to discover your own superpowers, which you have. We all have them. It will help you craft ways to express them with confidence, and you'll start exploring ways that you can use them in your future. Now, of course, I want to, and I will say this again, but I just want to start as well by reiterating that this is a process. So these few minutes that we'll be together today will not be the be-all and end-all of that, but you'll have some tools and some techniques that will get you started, that you can work on your own pace and in your own time. So why are we exploring this? Might be a good question if you're here. We all have different reasons for doing things, but in my experience, many of us have come from years of investing all we have into educating our children and preparing them for their own futures. Most of us have truly felt it as a calling. I certainly did, especially if you're going to be homeschooling for years and years. You have to look at it as a calling to just keep going. But some of us forget in the process that we needed to prepare ourselves too. And that was definitely the case for me. To give you a little bit of the Reader's Digest of how this came about, a few years ago we moved out of state. My husband had a job transfer, and we unexpectedly decided we would put our youngest daughter, we only had her at home. All 4 kids had been grown at that point and married or in college or career, and she was the only one left at home. And so we, for a number of other reasons as well, put her into the local school system, which we had heard was very good. She spent 2 years there, but bear in mind, when we did the initial move, I wasn't expecting that we would be doing that. So I was not prepared. I thought, I have 4 more years to figure things out. And honestly, I wasn't even thinking about figuring things out. I just figured I had 4 more years. And so all of a sudden I was thrust into not being a homeschooler, and in a community where I didn't know anybody. I no longer have my homeschool buddies, the friends that I had made over the years, and we didn't have a church family at the time. So I was kind of in a dry land and had no clue what I wanted to do. Additionally, about a year after that transition, my aging father-in-law, my husband's father, came to live with us and spent the last 2 years of his life with us, which was a great blessing, but also a great stress, and kind of, I didn't really feel that I had a lot of freedom to explore things. So it was a tough two-ish years for me. But the blessing is, out of that came this program. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you a little bit about today. So I want to ask you first, can you relate to any of these feelings? Like just being overwhelmed. I mean, even the thought of what are you going to do after homeschooling just gives you a headache. Feeling sad or lonely or aimless. I didn't expect that when our last one even just went to traditional school and she was gone all day. I did not expect the loneliness. You're around your kids all the time, and it was wonderful. And you just learn together and live together and work together. And all of a sudden, you're not together. And of course, looking back on it now, I'm like, gosh, how silly, how stupid could I have been, that you didn't expect that, but I didn't. And so you may be feeling that too. Or how about feeling useless or inadequate or just unqualified? Like, if I had a penny for how many times I said, well, I've only been homeschooling, or I've only homeschooled, or that's all I've done, air quotes with it all, as if that wasn't anything. as you'll see going through this, and then definitely if you decide to move forward with the Empty Homeschool Blueprint, you've done a lot as a homeschooler. You've learned a lot, you've grown a lot, you've developed a lot of skills and talents. Some you may have already had, others you kind of fine-tuned and honed as you were homeschooling. And there is no such thing as I've only been a homeschooler or all I've done is a homeschooler. But we feel that way sometimes, and you might be in that spot as well. Are you unsure about your personal strengths, your interests even perhaps, and your skills? After doing homeschooling for so many years, for example, reading. I'm an avid reader, always have been. I love to read. But during the years that I was homeschooling, I would go through long stretches where the only thing I read were homeschool related books, whether it was about a homeschool method or the kids' actual curriculum, or a new format of homeschooling, or whatever it was. It was just about homeschooling, and I kind of lost track of who I was and what my interests were, what kind of books in general that were not homeschool related that I like to read. And you may be in that position as well. Are you unable to describe how you've grown while homeschooling? That was certainly the case for me. I looked at the kids, we did summaries of how the year went every year. We did progress reports. We kept portfolios, things like that, but I didn't keep a portfolio on how mom was doing. What did I learn this year? What did I do that was different? Of course, it sounds silly, but you understand what I'm saying. I didn't keep track of my own personal self-growth and development. So let's just answer the question. So what's next? Okay, so assuming you are ready, or you might already be there at the end of your homeschooling years, what's next? It sounds like it should be an easy enough question, right? Now, before we move on, though, I do want to pause for a moment. Make sure you've downloaded the next season's Superpower Smart Sheet that I've put together. It's a little workbook that you can print out that'll help you keep all this stuff together. This is a link where you can find it. It will download directly into your computer. Don't look for a new tab. It'll download direct, and then just print it out. And if not, just make sure you take some notes. I'm sure you'll want to take some notes. I want you to get mentally in the game. Now, here I'm saying set a few hours aside to work through this. Don't worry, this webinar won't go a few hours. But I do hope that you will take the material that you'll be getting here and spending a few hours, setting a few hours aside to work through it. It will be beneficial for you. Honestly, if you're here, no matter what stage of homeschooling that you're in, it will be beneficial to you. So I hope you will do that. Bring an open heart. That's part of the mentally getting in the game. Have a positive attitude and be comfortable however you're sitting, whether it's you sitting up in bed or in a comfy chair or whatever, just to be comfortable. Okay, so now that we've gotten those ready, set, and let's go. Step one, we're going to do what I call a brain dump. Okay, and before we talk about why, I'll tell you what a brain dump is. You're really going to take a page, a full page, or take a note page in the Superpower sheet that I gave you, and do a brain dump. It's really fun if you can ask someone who knows you well and cares about you to do it with you. I actually did a Facebook post when I was doing this, and I asked my friends to help me, which turned out to be so encouraging. Let me know if you want the link to that post. I'll give it to you. Write down. So what you're going to do in the brain dump is to write down everything you can think of, big or small. And as I said earlier, please, you might want to spend a few days or at the least a few hours and be focused on this project. And please don't feel guilty about it, moms. You're investing in your future, and you deserve the same time and attention that you've given to others over the years. So that's what a brain dump is. But why? Well, it's an opportunity to review your accomplishments. Okay, an opportunity to get input from family and friends. As I mentioned, ask a friend to do it with you, but kind of poll the people in your household. What do you see me being good at? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And be able to take it. Don't edit, what they're saying. Don't feel like you have to explain things. Just take their feedback from you and add it. It's a way to systematically keep all this together. If you do brain dump in a notebook, if you do it in a workbook that you'll be printing out, just keep it together in one place, and then you'll have it all together. Look for patterns. from your interests, from your talents, from your skills. I mean, if you like crafts, but that's such a general thing, but specific crafts you might want to mention. And that might be patterns you see that emerging from there. And this is a time to focus on you. And that's the most important thing. So the brain dump is really the first step. And as I said, it could take a few hours, it could take a few days. You can make this a running, if you're not really close to finishing homeschooling, although honestly, we really don't know when the end of homeschooling is. But if you feel like you have some time, keep it in a notebook and have a running conversation with people and keep this material together. So that's the brain dump. Step 2 is going to be a time to get a little more creative. Just a reminder to get mentally in the game. Set a few hours aside to work through this with an open heart, positive attitude, and get comfy. Okay, now this second part is you're going to do a bit of vision casting here. So considering some of the more fluid characteristics that you've come up with, such as your hobbies, your personal qualities, miscellaneous interests, see if you can start to make any connections. Now, don't worry if they don't make sense or they're impractical. The goal here is to really get your creative juices flowing and get you started on dreaming and scheming. For example, if you love to write and you're a regular at the local library, perhaps you can be a book reviewer at the local newspaper or start a blog where you review new books in your favorite genre. In the Empty Homeschool Nest Blueprint, we actually put together a vision board too, which takes this section one step farther along in the creative process. So you're really going to just kind of be, find creative ways, do a collage, kind of thing, to let your imagination and interest and stuff, let it run wild, really explore yourself. Take the time that you spent on, preparing and teaching and just, spending time with your kids over the years, focused on them, and spend that time and do something for you. And this will be a wonderful thing, I promise. Okay, so step 3 is we're going to start crafting a plan. Now, this, of course, start crafting a plan, they're all progressive kind of things, right? They're going to take some time. They're projects that you'll be working on, and it won't happen overnight. But the point here is to get you moving so that you don't get lost and bogged down in inertia, and to try to start building momentum. So we're going to start crafting some kind of plan. Just a reminder again, keep your head in the game. One of the things you can do, or another thing you can do, is read and explore networking. Just read anything non-homeschool related, personal development kind of things, motivational, anything, read scriptures, just to encourage yourself. Psalms has a whole section of not only when David was feeling lost and ignored by God, but when he started feeling God's favor and being encouraged. There's so many encouraging sections in Psalms and in scriptures that can help. Explore networking. Start talking to people in your small group at church, even fellow homeschool parents that you might have lost touch with, that are now out in the world. Pick up the phone or Facebook message them or whatever, and see if you can buy them a cup of coffee and kind of pick their brains and see if they have some ideas that they would be willing to share with you, or some ideas of your next steps that you could take. Co-working spaces right now are really hot. That's a really big thing. I spent some time. I needed to get out of the house and to work in an office environment for a while when I was working on this course, and there was a co-working space in town, and it was set up for people who are small business owners that didn't have office space and needed the office space to work. And you could rent a room, you could just go and have it, work on a table. They had a conference room, different things, and you just rented it by the time, or you became a member. So look into that. That might be something. But one of the benefits of joining something like that is they also had a big network, and they would have lunch and learns and things like that, and evening meetings where you could meet other entrepreneurs and other people that owned business owners, and kind of just kind of get back in the game of getting your name out there and discovering what else is out there to do. So that's a way of staying or getting active. Realize at this point, part of keeping your head in the game is to realize that nobody is going to do this for you, but that's not a bad thing. It's easy to get bogged down and kind of go through a period perhaps when you're, having a little pity party. That's okay. Go ahead and have it and then move on, because this is your life. It's a wonderful gift, and God has blessed you with a ton of gifts and talents and interests that you can utilize, not only for His glory, but for your good. So that's a good thing, and just stay moving on that. You might want to consider a part-time job. A couple of places I considered when I was first in this stage was going to work at the local nursery, because the garden center, because it was springtime. They needed some, they were looking for help for the spring and summer season, and I love getting my hands dirty in the garden. Another place was Hobby Lobby. I love doing crafts, and that's another place. So, even if it's a job you just think, well, it's just a little bit of pocket money kind of thing, you never know what's going to come out of it. So consider a part-time job. That might be something to just get you out. Or consider starting that business, whatever it is that you've been thinking about or dreaming about for years. In the Blueprint course, there's a whole section of where we talk about how being a homeschooler is a great training for being an entrepreneur. And we do a lot of parallels and explain that, because you really have your own education business. You've been running it for years. So some of you too may have encouraged your kids to be entrepreneurs and to be, start their own businesses. So you may have a lot of experience and have developed a bent towards that over the years as well. So who knows, So this is ultimately what we're looking for here. Your skills. Let's start from the top, like 11 o'clock paragraph here. Your skills, which are expertise attained by training and experience, married with your interests, or what fires you up, and further combined with or overlaid with your abilities, which are competencies that are also often personality fueled. Now, when you have the three of them overlap, that's kind of the sweet spot of your next step. And that will be different for everybody. No two people, God didn't create any two of us the same, and none of us will have the same next steps, or it will look that way, the same. So that's what we're shooting for. So now I want to ask you for a second. Can you imagine having the self-confidence to look forward to your post-homeschooling life? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine crafting a game plan to have in place for those years, to actually be ready for that? Can you imagine being aware enough of your skills and interests to have a plan B, or maybe even a plan C necessary, if need be? Can you imagine developing a mindset and an outlook that's resilient and open to promise and potential? Getting excited yet? Can you imagine being an amazing example to your family of a lifelong learner? But most excitedly, can you imagine absolutely crushing this next stage in your life's journey? I can imagine that for you, because it's happened to me, and I certainly had to answer no initially to this. Now, if you answered yes, then have a nice day. Thanks for your time. I hope you were able to find some nuggets in this webinar to, as you're moving forward in your post-homeschooling life. But if the answer is no, which it might be, then I want you to keep scrolling down after this webinar, because discovering your superpower is really only the start. Okay, so we still need clarity to redefine and strengthen our purpose and identity. We still need tools and support to help build our self-esteem and help us vision cast. And we still need community. We haven't even touched on that, for support, accountability, and for networking. And so I want to introduce you to the course that I came up with, the Empty Homeschool Nest Blueprint, which I subtitled How to Design a Fulfilling and Significant Life After the Homeschooling Years Are Over. And part of this blueprint is discovering your superpower, as we've been working on today. So the framework for the course serves as a success path for you. You can use it as an outline of the entire process, and then it helps you to track your own progress as you reach the various benchmarks. That is farther down on this page. I give comments that past students have made. There's kind of a summary about it. I outline the syllabus, the curriculum, so you can take a look at that at your own pace and decide for yourself if you feel that you want to take that for your next step. So my final gift to you, though, and this is still another tool to help you figure out that superpower, that process now that you're on, that journey that you're on, is I want to gift you with a copy of my interest inventory and super skills survey. They're both materials that we use in the Empty Homeschool Nest Blueprint, and use this link to get them both, which I am about to give you. So you will want to write this down. It's breakthroughhomeschooling.com/skills, and it's SKILLZ. breakthroughhomeschooling.com/skills, and both of those items will be there. So I truly hope I see you on the inside. I hope that you decide to, when you decide to scroll down and read through the course, that this is something that you'll benefit by. But whether or not I do, I wish you all the best in your homeschooling years. They can be a fabulous, fruitful, significant time. You still have a lot to offer, Mom. I don't want you to ever feel guilty or useless or, just unnecessary. So you can find significance. And I want to leave you with this. You may be done with your homeschooling years, but God ain't done with you yet. So I hope to thank you again for your time. I do hope this has been beneficial, and I look forward to either seeing you in the course. Next course starts February 1st, so that's right around the corner. And if not, I do hope to see you on social media or just around. Okay. Thanks for your time, and y'all take care. Bye-bye.